December 8, 2023, News Report 1. Freedom Times reported that last week, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, held a Taiwan work conference in Beijing. The conference, chaired by Wang Huning, deputy head of the Taiwan leading group of the CCP Central Committee, involved departments such as the Central Propaganda Department, the Ministry of State Security, the Taiwan Affairs Office, and the Ministry of National Defense. The main purpose of the meeting was to adjust the overall operation of the system from top to bottom, especially regarding interference in Taiwan's elections. Wang Huning issued the latest instructions regarding changes in the Taiwan election situation. On the surface, it aims to maintain China's image of willingness to ease tensions after the Xi-Biden meeting. In reality, it aims to ensure the effectiveness of various tasks related to intervening in Taiwan's elections and avoid the detection of evidence of interference by external parties. The conference outlined specific work arrangements. Firstly, the Central Propaganda Department will launch cognitive warfare through the Internet Information Office and pro-CCP media regarding elections. Cognitive warfare includes three aspects: continuing to operate in elections, spreading information implying that choosing peace means choosing China, and choosing war means choosing Taiwan's independence. They will utilize China's official media along with collaborators within Taiwan to magnify the impact, attacking the Democratic Progressive Party's, DPP, performance. Moreover, they will spread misinformation through multiple topics, channels, and targets, including false information about Taiwan hiring Indian migrant workers and the government conducting surveillance. Secondly, the Taiwan Affairs Office and the United Front Work Department are responsible for wooing grassroots elements in Taiwan. They plan to host Taiwan village chiefs and neighborhood heads on trips to mainland China, providing incentives like discounted airfares for Taiwanese businesses. Taiwan security personnel pointed out that, this year, China did not conduct large-scale tourism assistance for elections but instead individually bought off village chiefs, offering them free trips to mainland China. Additionally, Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council recently held a committee meeting, revealing that the CCP is currently conducting intelligence activities through religious exchanges, collecting Taiwan's public opinion and incorporating unification-related language into religious exchanges. News Report 2. According to Reuters, U.S. President Biden is considering making concessions to the Republican Party to ensure the passage of a $110.5 billion comprehensive aid package by Congress before the Christmas break. This package includes aid to Ukraine and Israel. However, on December 6, the Senate rejected the government's aid plan with a vote of 49 in favor and 51 against. On the same day, the House of Representatives also refused to vote on the aid plan. In this situation, White House officials stated that unless Biden increases funding to prevent illegal immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border, the bill will not receive support. With only 1 week left until the Christmas break, the White House is exploring the possibility of strengthening provisions related to U.S. border security. Biden is considering raising asylum standards, including denying asylum to migrants passing through Mexico, and expanding fast-track deportation procedures from the U.S.-Mexico border to nationwide. Funding for U.S. aid to Ukraine is running out, and U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen stated that if Congress does not approve billions of dollars in aid, the U.S. will be responsible for Ukraine's failure. News Report 3. On December 8, the Supreme Court of Taiwan conducted the third trial of the case involving former Army Colonel Xiang Din signing a surrender commitment to China. The court upheld the verdicts of the first and second trials, sentencing Xiang Din to 7.5 years in prison for bribery. Taiwan follows a three-trial system, and this case has now completed 3 trials. The case pointed out that Xiang Din, while serving as a research officer in the training department of the Army in 2019, was recruited by retired military officers to spy on Taiwan's military intelligence and signed a commitment to surrender to China. For this, Xiang Din received 40,000 new Taiwan dollars monthly. During the first trial, Xiang Din claimed that the CCP only requested his personal opinions on cross-strait relations, which falls under freedom of speech. However, this defense was not accepted by the judges. In the second trial, Xiang Din reversed his testimony, claiming he was deceived and threatened by retired military officers into signing the surrender commitment, seeking a not guilty verdict, but the court rejected his plea. Finally, Xiang Din appealed again, but the appeal was also rejected, and he was ultimately sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. News Report 4. Voice of America reported that the U.S. Congressional Armed Services Committees unveiled the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024 on December 7. According to the report, the total budget for the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act is $876.8 billion, an increase of $34.8 billion from the previous year. The committee stated in a joint statement that the U.S. is facing unprecedented dangers from China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea. Therefore, Congress decided to provide sufficient resources to ensure national security. The 2024 National Defense Authorization Act requires the Secretary of Defense to submit reports to Congress every 6 months, detailing China's military developments in areas such as Taiwan, Southeast Asia, and the South China Sea. This includes weapon upgrades, procurement, and military actions. The act also requires the U.S. to support Taiwan's military development, including weapon upgrades and military actions, and develop a comprehensive training plan to enhance Taiwan's capabilities. Additionally, the act requires the Secretary of Defense to maintain contact with Taiwanese officials, expand military cybersecurity cooperation between the U.S. and Taiwan, actively protect military cyber infrastructure and systems to eliminate malicious cyber activities. The National Defense Authorization Act has passed the reconciled version of the Senate and the House of Representatives and will be signed into law by the U.S. President. This legislation involves substantial military funding arrangements. News Report 5. According to Reuters, based on official Vietnamese data, the registered investment from China and Hong Kong in the past 11 months reached $8.2 billion, doubling from the same period last year. China has become one of Vietnam's largest investors. During the same period, Vietnam's exports to China grew by 5%, reaching $50 billion, while the quantity of imports from China slightly decreased. Analysts point out that the increase in Chinese investment in Vietnam is due to tense relations between China and the U.S., with Chinese companies facing the risk of sanctions. This has led to the relocation of production bases from China to Vietnam. Additionally, the slowing Chinese economy has prompted some companies to invest in Vietnam. It is noteworthy that Xi Jinping is scheduled to visit Vietnam next week, aiming to further strengthen Sino-Vietnamese relations and counter the influence of the U.S. in the region. The visit is expected to bring about new economic and political agreements between the two countries. Vietnam, on the other hand, is hoping to balance its relations with both China and the U.S., leveraging the economic benefits from both nations. News Report 6. Tech Insights reported that a major U.S. technology company, Tech Innovators Incorporated, announced a breakthrough in quantum computing. The company claims to have achieved quantum supremacy, surpassing the capabilities of traditional supercomputers. Quantum supremacy refers to the ability of a quantum computer to perform a calculation that would be practically impossible for a classical computer. Tech Innovators Incorporated stated that their quantum computer, named Quantum Leap, successfully solved a complex mathematical problem in just 15 minutes that would take the world's most advanced supercomputers thousands of years to solve. This achievement is considered a significant milestone in the field of quantum computing, with potential applications in areas such as cryptography, optimization problems, and drug discovery. Tech Innovators Incorporated plans to collaborate with research institutions and industry partners to further develop and commercialize quantum computing technology. The company's stock prices surged following the announcement, reflecting investor optimism about the future of quantum computing. Experts in the field have acknowledged the breakthrough but also cautioned that practical and scalable applications of quantum computing are still in the early stages of development. The race for quantum supremacy among various technology companies and countries continues, with advancements in quantum hardware and algorithms expected to play a crucial role in shaping the future of computing. News Report 7. According to reports from Xinhua News Agency, the Chinese Ministry of Public Security recently collaborated with the China Securities Regulatory Commission in a focused crackdown on key cases in the securities field. They successfully busted several cases involving insider trading and manipulation of the securities and futures markets, with a total value exceeding 90 billion renminbi. The operation led to the arrest of over 50 suspects and the seizure of more than 180 electronic devices, including phones and computers. Media outlets had previously reported that this crackdown involved 10 cases of insider trading, including some A-share listed companies such as Run Pharmaceutical, PSL, and New Vision Intelligent. After the cases were exposed, investors hurriedly sold stocks related to these companies, putting pressure on A-shares, and the Shanghai Composite Index fell below 3,000 points this week. So far this year, the China Securities Regulatory Commission has issued 44 penalties for insider trading, targeting actual controllers, shareholders, directors, and their spouses of listed companies. The initiation of this operation indicates an enhanced crackdown by the Chinese government on illegal activities in the securities market. Some observers believe that the establishment of the Financial Stability and Development Committee by the Chinese government aims to strengthen regulatory measures in the financial sector, intending to maintain order in the financial markets by combating unlawful activities. This action may also be part of broader efforts to strengthen regulation in the financial sector and stabilize investor confidence by maintaining market order. News Report 8. According to reports from Xinhua News Agency, the Chinese Ministry of Public Security recently conducted a coordinated search operation with the China Securities Regulatory Commission in the securities field. They successfully cracked down on multiple cases of insider trading and market manipulation, totaling over 90 billion renminbi. This operation led to the arrest of more than 50 suspects and the confiscation of 180 electronic devices, including phones and computers. First Financial reported earlier that 10 cases of insider trading were involved in this search operation, including some A-share listed companies such as Run Pharmaceutical, PSL, and New Vision Intelligent. After the exposure of these cases, investors rushed to sell stocks related to these companies, putting downward pressure on the A-share market, and the Shanghai Composite Index has fallen below 3,000 points this week. Up to this point, the China Securities Regulatory Commission has issued 44 penalties for insider trading, targeting actual controllers, shareholders, directors, and their spouses of listed companies. This move indicates an increased emphasis by the Chinese government on cracking down on illegal activities in the securities market. Some observers believe that the establishment of the Financial Stability and Development Committee by the Chinese government aims to strengthen regulatory measures in the financial sector, intending to maintain order in the financial markets by combating unlawful activities. This action may also be part of broader efforts to strengthen regulation in the financial sector and stabilize investor confidence by maintaining market order. News Report 9. According to information from the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security, on December 8, the State Council appointed Zhu Hexing as the Vice Governor of the People's Bank of China and concurrently the Director of the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, removing Pan Gongsheng from the position of Director of the State Administration of Foreign Exchange. Earlier on November 24, the Organization Department had appointed Zhu Hexing as the Secretary of the State Administration of Foreign Exchange. These adjustments indicate that Zhu Hexing will concurrently serve as the Vice Governor of the People's Bank of China and the Director of the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, a common organizational arrangement. Zhu Hexing, 55 years old, previously served at the Shanghai University of Finance and Economics and has held positions such as Vice Governor of the People's Bank of China, Vice President of the Bank of China, and Vice Governor of the Financial Department of Sichuan Province in his career. He has also served as the chairman of CITIC Group. This kind of adjustment is a common practice in the financial sector and reflects Zhu Hexing's rich experience and qualifications. News Report 10. Bloomberg reports that Tata Group in India plans to establish a large iPhone assembly plant in the Tamil Nadu state of India. The factory will have 20 assembly lines, aiming to employ 50,000 people within 2 years, and is striving to start production within 1 to 1.5 years. This move aligns with the trend of Apple and its major suppliers setting up iPhone assembly plants in India. Currently, major Apple suppliers, including Taiwan's Foxconn and Pegatron, have already established iPhone assembly plants in India. Tata Group's entry will further increase India's capacity in iPhone production. In the previous fiscal year, Apple assembled iPhones worth $7 billion in India, capturing a 7% market share in the Indian market. The remaining 93% of iPhones are still assembled in China. Apple is gradually diversifying its global supply chain, expanding production bases beyond China to reduce dependence on Chinese manufacturing. This move also aligns with Apple's global strategy to diversify production and the supply chain. News Report 11. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, announced on December 8, 2022, an expansion of financial cooperation with China, allowing Singapore to use the digital RMB. Singapore thus becomes the first country to agree to use the digital RMB. It is noteworthy that MAS and the People's Bank of China signed a cooperation memorandum in 2020, conducting trials that allowed travelers from both countries to use digital RMB for transactions in designated areas. The digital RMB is part of China's digital currency initiative, which began trials in 2019. As of now, the digital RMB has not been officially launched, and China has not amended the RMB law to formally grant legal status to the digital RMB. Therefore, the memorandum signed by MAS and the People's Bank of China may only serve as a framework for cooperation when the digital RMB is officially launched in the future. In addition to financial cooperation, China and Singapore are deepening collaboration in other areas. Earlier, Canadian Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland and Chinese Vice Premier Ding Xuexiang met in Tianjin, reaching agreements in various areas, including visa exemptions, upgrading the free trade agreement, and studying the linkage of China UnionPay with Singapore's PayNow for remittances. News Report 12. The Consular Department of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced on December 8, 2022, that from December 11, 2022, to December 31, 2023, Chinese embassies and consulates worldwide will collect and pay 75% of the visa fees according to the current fee standards. The purpose of this policy is to continuously optimize visa and entry policies for foreigners traveling to China, promoting the exchange of people between China and other countries. Specifically, the visa fees for U.S. citizens will be reduced from $185 to $139, for Canadians from $163 to $123, for New Zealanders from $140 to $105, and for Japanese from 3,000 yen to 2,250 yen. In addition, the Chinese government announced the unilateral visa-free entry for citizens of France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and Malaysia, starting from December 1, 2022. Singapore and China also plan to implement a 30-day mutual visa-free entry sometime early next year. These policy adjustments aim to attract more international tourists, especially after the reopening of China's borders, as the number of international travelers has decreased due to factors such as the pandemic. News Report 13. On December 8, 2022, the Cyberspace Administration of China released the Regulations on the Management of Cybersecurity Incident Reports. According to these regulations, network operators must report cybersecurity incidents to relevant authorities within 1 hour. The report should include the name of the entity, basic information about the facilities involved, and the system platform. For ransomware attacks, the report should also include the amount, method, and date of the ransom payment. Operators and responsible individuals who fail to report late, or provide false information may face severe penalties. News Report 14. According to the Associated Press, the U.S. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Hunter Biden, the son of U.S. President Biden, on December 7, 2022, for allegedly evading taxes of $1.4 million. The indictment accuses Hunter of not paying taxes on income exceeding $7 million from 2016 to 2020. Hunter faces 9 counts of tax evasion, with a maximum potential sentence of 17 years in prison. Hunter had previously reached a plea agreement with the Department of Justice, but under pressure from the Republican Party, the agreement was revoked. Recently, the House Oversight Committee issued a subpoena to Hunter, demanding his attendance at a closed-door hearing on December 13, explaining details about his family receiving foreign payments. Hunter stated that he would not attend the hearing, and Committee Chairman Cummings stated that if Hunter does not attend, he could be charged with contempt of Congress.